community. Pete Kane here. We have a wonderful event for you here at Grace Church. I want you to kind of think about, you're going to hear from 12 speakers today. 12 speakers who bring unique and beautiful impact. They're going to bring you messages, and I want you to think about, is this somebody that could be a hero in your journey? Life is a journey. We go sideways, we go up, we go down, we get stuck. You're going to hear from people who are going to help you to keep moving forward. And we want you to have a vibrant life, have an abundant life, but sometimes wherever that journey is, it can take you in a spot where you need help. So don't hesitate to reach out to find that person that can help you keep moving forward. The first one I'm just going to give you a couple minutes on. I want you to think about the world changed, and it changed very rapidly, and it's going to continue to change. AI, all the innovation, everything that's going on requires us to be able to keep our minds open to what's possible and not shut down, because the minute we close our mind, we fix it and we don't grow. But if we think of the possibilities that I could take my local impact and now I can become global, because global is where the demand is. That's where the opportunity lies, because most people have 140 people that know, like, and trust you. If you can look at that as a sandbox, and then you get over to a bigger sandbox, which is the global sandbox, that's where the demand goes from 140 people that know, like, and trust you to 5,000 to over 1 billion people. Now, let me put it in perspective. It's your online presence that I'm talking about, because a person hears Deborah speak today and they go, dang, I want more. And if they go online to want more and that you pique their interest, if you allow them to go on a journey with you, then the numbers and the demand goes through the ceiling. So that's why we want people that are listening today and out there in the community is think global, because the world is global. Now, our first speaker, and I want just to recap. So I want you to learn, grow, connect, and be in a community. We all know the importance of being together. Together we're better. By ourselves is a train wreck. So your community means something. And you're going to hear from several Rotarians today. We're in community. We are here for several people that go to church here. We're in community on Sunday. Find your community, find your tribe, reach out to them, be a part of it. Work the journey with people, not by yourself. Our first speaker is an absolutely amazing person. I met her a couple years ago at the local Rotary at North Cobb, and I knew there was something special about her. And after a couple years of asking her to be a guest on my podcast, I finally succeeded. So some people call me a stalker. I say I'm persistent. I don't know which one. But I finally got her on my podcast, and I was able to discover what made her so special. Why was she making an impact in the community? Why was she doing so much for others? And I found out she was doing one simple thing. She invested in herself. And that's a common thing that a lot of times we don't realize, that investing in ourselves is the best investment you can ever make. Deborah Morton is a special person. Deborah, please come to the stage and join us and share investing in yourself.
Sound here?
Yes. Just
okay. Thank you for having me today. How many people, raise your hands if you used your GPS to get here today? That's right. I use my GPS to go everywhere in Atlanta because Atlanta traffic is no joke. navigating without a GPS doesn't make sense because you get derailed, you're off course. You get stuck in a wreck you didn't know was there, and it slows you down. So there are avoidable wrecks and pit stops along the way when you use your GPS to get where you're going. So I'm Deborah Morton. I am the founder and the owner of the Agency Atlanta. It's a real estate brokerage here in Atlanta. I'm also the host of Inside Georgia Real Estate on 95.5 FM, WSB Talk Radio. So my mission is to shine a light in my community. My purpose is intentional and clear. I want to impact people for good. And that is the basis of everything I do in life. So the purpose of my life to create impact for people, I have found a way that works for me that is a clear path to success. And that's what I want to share with you today. I want to help you get clarity on your purpose, the direction, the destination you want to get to. There is a course you can follow. We're going to call it our GPS for life to hit success. And we're going to recalculate along the way for faster results, for exponential results. So you don't have to waste time making mistakes. And then the third piece is to get moving, because the thing that keeps people from rapid success is failure to launch. They just don't get started. So first thing we're going to do is set your destination. If you don't have clarity on where you're going, you're just going to wander around and be like hanging out on 285, going in circles all day long. So you have to set your GPS. Your course needs to be clear on where you're going. Stephen Covey said, begin with the end in mind. I'm going to suggest that you have to be very specific about where you're going. Have clarity about specifically, not just I want to be successful, but on Tuesday at 9 a.m., this is what it looks like. These are the people I'm with. Where am I sitting? What does my bank account look like? What does my calendar look like? So the picture of success for you is going to be different than it is for somebody else, but you have to have clarity over that. If you don't know where you're going, you can't get there. But then along the way, there's going to be opportunities, missteps, the market changes, COVID happens. You're going to have to recalculate your course along the way. And when you misstep, a lot of people get stuck because they think that recalculation or resetting their path is a mistake, and they get derailed and they get discouraged. And I'm going to say that those recalculations are the biggest opportunity. Mistakes can become your exponential growth. That's your opportunity, but only if you use them for good with intention. Your coaches and your mentors, the people you surround you with, as Pete said, your church, your family, your community, who you surround yourself with, they can put the guardrails in place for you because you can't see ahead. When there's a wreck around the corner and your GPS routes you around it, you can get to your destination faster. And that's what the people in your life who you invest in, they invest in you. It's mutual. It can look like a mastermind group. I have coaches, not just one. I have had multiple coaches throughout my years. That's what Pete and I talk about frequently, because once you have a destination in mind and you have a trusted, experienced mentor helping you follow the path to get there, they can see and give you the vision that your GPS navigation system, that's what they're acting as. So that's why it doesn't matter if it's a business coach. I have a real estate coach, business coach that helps me when I started in real estate. And then I changed coaches because then I became a team leader. Then I changed coaches. I became a broker owner. There are different stops along the way where you have to expand the mentors in your life. I had a trainer at the gym because, you get older. I got to tighten this up. Well, I don't want to waste time figuring it out on my own. So I hired a good coach for that. And I have a business, like a CEO life coach, that helps me with my leadership development. it's important to know where you're going. I know that leading people matters. So I want to bring the very best of myself to everything I do. And that's what my coaches do. But the third point that is most important and that I see people struggle with the most is getting started, or they get started and they are moving so slowly because of fear, because of judgment against themselves, their opinions on things. Moving matters. That's how you get exponential results. When you know where you're headed, you recalculate fast along the way using trusted advisors to get you there. And then you don't fail to take action, you move. That's what leaders do, and that's how you get results. And I'm excited that you get to listen to the 12 people, the 11 people behind me here, because they are all going to bring something valuable to your journey. Your first step is done. You showed up, you made a decision. So welcome to the party. Let's get going, set your destination, and get moving.
Awesome. Thanks, Deborah. That's awesome. Well, I know I was picking up nuggets of wisdom during her talk. That's a good example of being around people and keeping your mind open to learn. It is a journey. It is a journey of up and down and sideways. Now, our next speaker is a lady that I met at McKenna Farms a couple years ago. And it was a special day. I need a comedian. Is there a comedian? I had my 3 granddaughters, and we were going to McKenna Farms. And it was a special day that we were with each other. And I met Xana because she had brought her extended family, her farm, from South Georgia to McKenna Farms. And my oldest, which was 12, I think she wanted to take home the paca because she loved the animals. They wanted to go back. I'd go out. They said, "Can we go back to the animals?" And the one thing that stuck out besides the special time with my granddaughters, there was a boy, he had to be at least maybe 7, and he had a chicken in his arms, and he was carrying it around the area where they were set up. He had the biggest grin on his face I've ever seen in my life. He was so happy to have that chicken in his hand. And that's kind of what Xana brings to people, is happiness. She's going to talk about how important it is to know your superpowers and lean into your superpowers. Susanna, would you please join us on the stage? Probably came the longest too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here today. Last time I was here, I shared that we moved this whole crew from Montana a couple years ago. But today I am just grateful to be here and share a little bit of my heart with you around what I endearingly call our 3 superpowers. Okay. Anyway, what I endearingly call our 3 superpowers. And no, you don't need a cape to use them, which is incredible. They're actually available to each and every one of us. And these are things that I have learned by interacting with the ranch that I now call Thrive Ranch. And the first one is grounding. We as humans were meant to be connecting with nature, out getting that electrical exchange with Earth. And as our pace gets a lot faster these days, we have overstimulation, screen time. It's so important to take time to get outside and reconnect with the simple things that really are the big things. Our nervous system is just going bananas all the time. If you can take a few minutes every day to step outside, ideally barefoot, wiggle your toes in some grass or some dirt, even cement, it will do amazing things for you, from reducing cortisol to reducing inflammation to reducing just stress overall, and really help us regulate our nervous system. In addition to that, just mind, body, spirit. That's a big part of my heart around our experiences at Thrive Ranch. Prayer, meditation, breath work, whatever that is for you, taking time to set your day right will shift how you navigate your days. A unique way that I invite people to experience this out at our ranch is through our Highland cows. They regulate their temperature through their horns. So a really cool way for people to experience that electrical exchange that's so powerful for us is to actually touch their horns, and you'll feel they're warm to the touch. And even with our shoes on, you will get that electrical exchange, which again, simple thing that's so incredibly good for you. The second superpower that is highly overrated these days is personal responsibility. I know, crazy concept, right? In a day when everybody has a label for everything, and while those may be valid, we give up our power when we choose to be a victim of whatever circumstances might come our way. Around the ranch, we like to say, so what, now what? Life is going to happen, the good, the hard, everything in between. Now what is always where our power lies. And that doesn't invalidate the hard things that might have happened to us that are beyond our control. But the only way to take our power back from whatever maybe victimized us in the first place is to choose our now what powerfully. What that looks like at the ranch is, there's poop. There is a lot of it, and it's everywhere. It's our responsibility not to step in it. And when we do, well, it's our responsibility to figure out our now what, right? This morning, I had a really big curveball, a now what. I heard this big kaboom. And with all this rain, a ginormous oak fell on our barn and smashed it to smithereens this morning. And I chose to still be here because that is my now what. Everyone's okay. That's what matters. And I will figure out the rest when I get home today. So personal responsibility. Another key element of personal responsibility is being intentional about cultivating a life that we love. I'm so inspired by everything around the ranch every day. We have a lot of buckets around there. So when folks come out, I invite them to fill their buckets with intention. We have a dream bucket. It's a place to put our goals and our intentions and our dreams. I give space for people to dream again. It's so important to be doing things that light us up. So when you come out there, it's your responsibility to breathe a little deeper and consider what it is that lights you up and add to your dream bucket. The second bucket that we have is our let it go bucket. Because like I said, life happens, poop happens, let it go. What's done is done. The barn is crushed right now. I can't undo it, but I can choose my now what. So I'm gonna let it go and I'm gonna move on with what I can control today. It's simple, but it's powerful to do these things with intention, metaphorically or physically. And the last bucket, but certainly not the least important, is our gratitude bucket, excuse me, which takes me into our third superpower, which is gratitude. The way that I see it is that there is always something to be grateful for. On our hard days, it's most important to stop and look around and notice the things that we still have to be grateful for. I call them the glimmers. In my most challenging seasons, when I took time to write down or just evaluate the things I had to be thankful for, it would shift me back to this really incredible space, right back to that grounding space, right? It's our responsibility to cultivate a life we love and to make a ripple in this world. And gratitude is one powerful superpower that can help us really harness that. What we appreciate, appreciates. And so that is my invitation to each of you guys today, is to leave here today harnessing even just one of these superpowers with intention. It will shift your life. But if you harness all three, it will transform your life. And you know what? Empowered people empower people. As I was driving out here today, dealing with what I was dealing with this morning, I looked up and a rainbow was across the sky. And it was just right at the moment I was talking to God for a little guidance to speak to you today and to navigate all that I have to navigate. And it was my little God wink and reminder that we can change the world one heart at a time with these simple things that have big impact. So embrace your superpowers with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Xana. You know, when I found out she came from Montana, I met another person that'll be on the program a little bit later. And I'm thinking, two beautiful ladies from Montana, do they not have anybody else? And it's so good. I'm so glad you moved to Atlanta so we could have a chance to meet you, meet your extended family, and be with you. Thanks for that, Xana. That was very well said, and I appreciate you being here and coming from so far away to be here. We do have a gift for you. It's a Happy Heart Journal. You came the farthest. You bring happiness to people, so we want to provide you with this.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, our next speaker, a special kind of guy. You know how Xana talked about, and I think Deborah talked about superheroes. And we all want kind of people in our life that we can call when we need them. And our next guest had a chance to have the co-working space in Kennesaw where he was helping small businesses get going and grow. And he stepped away for a bunch of years, not a bunch of years, 4 years, and he came back a second time. There's a person that did this that's running our country. We tend to get wisdom when we step away. We tend to look at things differently, and we come back with a better plan. We come back with a better mindset. Dave is the owner of Desktop Co-working Space. He's in a national real estate firm, and he's a person that when you want to exchange ideas with, you want Dave on your team. Dave, thank you so much for being here. Engaging business growth.
I didn't know this thing was about heroes. And Pete is so good about building people up. For me, there's one hero, and it's Jesus Christ. We started Desktop in the idea in 2016, started construction at the beginning of 2017, opened at April 1st of 2017, and grew it for 4 years. We probably all of us here are entrepreneurs in some way, correct? Show of hands. If you're an entrepreneur, it's the excitement phase. You've got an idea. For us, I just needed space. I outgrew my office. We needed space. I didn't need 10,000 square feet. I didn't need to take an old CVS pharmacy and convert it into a real estate office. I needed 2,500 square feet, but I love that location. And I believe it was God's idea to take and turn it into my offices for our real estate companies, for us to then turn the rest of the space into a coffee shop, which originally was the Kennesaw Coffee Company and now is the Local Dough. And then to have a co-working space where we could provide a place to let people start, grow them up, and then move them out. Because you eventually outgrow our space. We can't keep people there forever. So, that's kind of the story of Desktop. We grew it for 4 years. And I lived there for 6 to 7 days a week for 4 years. And if you know my personality at all, I'm entrepreneurial. My family, my wife and my 2 kids who helped us, we all worked it together. When we had a company meeting, if I ever did this, they'd say, tackle him, stop him, he's having another idea. And so I was stifled. So we got 4 years in, we grew it to about as much revenue as we thought we could get. And so I licensed it to my coffee shop guy. And we stepped away for 4 years. When I got to the end of that 4 years, I got to a point where, I got to the stage of the management phase. You have the excitement phase, you grow it, and then you get to the management phase where you're having to, what I call, wrestle bears and stomp snakes. You're just kind of putting out brush fires. And the excitement tends to wane. So we stepped away. It was going to be permanent, actually, but God had a different plan. We licensed it to my coffee shop guy, kind of became partners. He had a midlife crisis about halfway through that. And so 4 years into our 7-year agreement, I had to take it back. I shouldn't say had to take it back. I got to take it back. And for the last year, so in for 4 years, out for 4 years, and then we took it back. And when I came back in, when Jackie and I came back in, my kids had already moved on. There was nothing for them to do. We, had partnered with John. So when we came back in, God gave us a new vision for this thing. I thought of, and I think all of us maybe think of our businesses as a wheel, something to help us get from point A to point B. There's a destination We want to grow a business. We want to impact people. We want to hire people. We want to create a product. For us, it was creating a service, but we see it as a thing. God gave me a vision when we came back in that this wasn't a wheel, it was a hub. It was the center of something that could be much, much bigger. So when you go from the excitement phase to the management phase, if you have a chance to step away, like we did, and that was a 4-year step away. Most people don't get that ability if you have a business. Then you're able, when you come back, to get to the re-engagement phase. There's a lot of excitement again. There's a lot more clarity. And let me tell you, there's a lot more profitability. So what I would encourage you as an entrepreneur to do is first, have a purpose in your business that's bigger than just profit. We want to know God and make him known and have Desktop be a place that impacts people with the gospel, impacts people with the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, goodness, and self-control. And we want to be able to then, and now what we're doing in this re-engagement phase is we are partnering with businesses. We're now partners in the coffee shop, not just a tenant. We're now partners in a social media marketing company. We're teaming up with them to grow it. And now we're going to create a kids play place inside of Desktop to help moms, and there'll be a place in there for moms who homeschool to bring their kids, to let them work inside. We're going to call it the study hall, and then also a place for parents with special needs kids, basically a tactile type room. So if you can, my exhortation to you is to, for a day, for a weekend, for a week, step away so that you can get some clarity on your business and look at it where you're not having to stop snakes. Thanks very much.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Yeah. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave, so much. Collaboration is a great word. And take it in our regular day life is collaborate with people. Together, we're better. And so find people to collaborate with and go out there and make the world better through your collaboration. Appreciate that. Our next speaker, one of the beautiful things about a podcast is you meet some incredible people. You get to learn their story, you get to learn their journey, and you have a conversation for a half hour, maybe a little bit over that. And you get to find out what people are doing to make that impact. And then, if you're lucky enough, you can invite them to come speak, and they say yes. And Rebecca said yes. I found out she was in the Atlanta area when I always stalk other people's profiles on LinkedIn, and I look for people that I think are making an impact out there. And Rebecca she has a personal framework for personal growth, leaning into it, living it. And if we work on ourselves, our business will take care of itself. But we have to first lean into personal growth, our personal journey. So Rebecca, thank you so much for being here. Her topic is personal growth framework, the three ways to build the framework. Thank you, Rebecca. If you could please come forward.
I know so many of you walk through here. Anybody walk through a back door, front door, side door? We all walk through a door. But what is important when it comes to a door? The frame. What happens when the frame is not strong or is rotten? The doors falls off, and you have to look for the carpenter or somebody to rebuild it. And this is why I came up with the 3 framework, the most important framework for your personal growth. And what does it tell you? Because it's something that I've applied for myself in the last 5 years. Because Your personal growth is everything. And when I talk about the personal growth, I'm not just talking about the outside, because we tend to focus on the outside, how we wear, how we walk, the things we own, and all those things, they don't really belong to us. They can vanish anytime. The personal growth I'm talking about is the inner growth, your spiritual growth, your mindset, your physical. Those things that nobody else cannot see, nobody else cannot identify except yourself and your God. And that's why I came, and thanks so much, Pete, for giving me this opportunity. I'm very grateful, and I thank you for everything. I focus on guiding people individually, especially women, to have that framework in their life. Because as a woman, we carry so much burden, not just because of what's going on around us, but it's because of what we grew up with, and we come with it, and we tend to give it to others, either our family, our co-worker, even in the management, and it show up in a different way. And then we start blaming others. You start blaming your husband, your spouse, or your kids, your friends, your managers, and everything else that is around you. And the first framework that I'm going to talk about today is about healing, the healing what drains you. What is that thing that drains you inside? Because most of the time is when you see people reacting, it's not because of what you have done, is because of what is draining themselves, so they tend to take on to yourself. So this framework, if you don't do the healing of your inner work, your past trauma, your present that is affecting you, your growth does not appear or does not grow to what God intended you to be. Because remember, when God created earth, he created you as a unique person with his own image, and he intended good for you. There was nothing that was created to happen for the bad. It was for the good, because you are created in his image. So your internal, it changes because of the influence. So you have to take care of that drains you. Either you have to let it go, you have to release it. That is one thing. You have to heal what drains you, that part of you that drains, your body internally. And the next work, you have to work on what to feed your mind and your spirit. And let me tell you, when it comes to mind, everything is about your mind. It is about your mind. What you feed your mind and your spirit, that's what comes out to the other people out there. So you have to be careful what you are reading, what you watch, what you surround with, because that's what your mind is feeding into. If it is negativity, guess what? You give negative to the people. If it is positive energy that you are feeding on, guess what? You give the positive energy that attracts what you are looking for. Because you cannot feed something that you are not admiring or you are desiring to have. So you have to choose. It's a choice as an individual to feed yourself with what you want in life. It's not the other people to decide what you want. So your mindset is very important when it comes to your growth. And very much everything is about your mindset. Everything, even in business, is mindset. So personal growth is like just the same way, the business. You are the business. You are on your business. You are the CEO of your own personal life. So you need to take care of that. That's the second one. The third one is keep up showing consistently. Let me tell you, the first thing that makes most people fail, either is in business, either is whatever you want to do in the outside life, is the consistency of what you want. The small habits, how you do them, how you show up, how many times you do, it produces the outcome. Because the outcome is the income. And how you do it, the discipline of being consistent on those small habits, that's how you are going to grow. Because it's the work you put and the discipline of doing it. Because most people have realized, including myself, if you know you want to do this, if you want joy within yourself, you have to be joyful, always be, time for things that will make you feel joy in you. Because there is a difference between joy and happiness. Happiness is the things that we own, like I said. But the joy within yourself, you have to be consistently looking for things that will make you feel joyful. Because the joy of the Lord is that keeps us. That tells you have to be feeding yourself with things that will make you grow. And consistently every day, put effort. And you don't have to do much, because people think that you have to do much, especially now we are living on social media. When you go on Facebook, my friend is doing this, let me try this. Don't try something that is not working for you. Don't try something that is not working for you. Find something that you know you can do consistently and do it well. Because it's not how much you are doing it, it's how many times you are practicing it. If it's prayer, pray. Pray. It doesn't have to be a big prayer. Just pray consistently to see the results of the prayer, because we give up because we think we are not praying a long prayer. No. If it is believing in God, believe in God, even when things are not happening consistently, even when you're in the struggle, because personal growth is not linear. There is time that you fail, but failure is part of the success. So you have to consistent wake up. The consistency is the way you wake up when you fall. You wake up, pick up your step. If like she said, there's the breath work that you are doing. If it is the physical that you are doing, and you had planned, you be to the gym for 5 days and you don't do it, don't worry. Next week, go to the gym or buy some item, put them in the house, pick them up. But consistently, you are doing something in your body. If it is the people you are surrounding with, consistently pay attention to the people surrounding you. Because, like I said, if the wood is rotten, the door will fall off. If your friends are rotten, and excuse me for that, guess what? You'll be the same. So you have to consistently choose even your friends for your personal growth. So everything that you do, you have to pay attention and be aware. If you decide this boundary, don't put boundaries today, and tomorrow you break the boundary. Guess what? You already let in something that you didn't want. So you have to consistently remind yourself how to put those boundaries. You have to be consistently reflecting. How did I do last week? How did I do this morning? Did I pray about this? Did I believe about this? Did I do this the way I wanted? Because it will make you feel differently. It makes you feel differently when you are reflecting on what you are doing for your personal growth. And you have to be very disciplined about it. And don't give up. Don't give up, because most of the time we do give up as we go on this personal growth, because it is challenging. It feels isolating. But you are not isolated, because you are working on yourself. You are not working on the others. Because many are called, but few will walk with you. Always remember that. So you can in the personal growth, you always, most of the time, walk by yourself, because it is internal, it is personal, it is intimate. So you have to make those decisions knowing that you are not walking with everybody. So today, I leave you, heal what drains you, feed your mind and spirit with the most important thing, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, and keep showing up consistently. And today, ask yourself, what are you waiting for to start your journey? Because that business needs a whole you. That business needs somebody. The mindset is straight.
Thank you, Rebecca. I love hearing your message each time. I love what you bring to us. And it's appropriate to have a commercial break before I introduce our next speaker. So Growth Day is a program that I got introduced a couple years back, 3-4 years. And it's my way of taking a mental shower each day. We take physical showers to clean ourselves, but how often do we take the mental showers to put those thoughts to keep an open growth mindset? So you can go to petekane.me/growth day. If you want to try it for 7 days, you can experience what a mental shower of personal growth can be like. All right, our next speaker, a gentleman I met at it was an event for the Army Rangers, helping him transition from a successful high-level military life into civilian life. And I first met his wife, who was there serving. She introduced me to Terry, and we've had a good relationship, a good friendship since then. He is a fellow Rotarian. He's out there serving. But I wanted to bring one thing to you. It happened about a year ago. I went to my high school reunion, and everybody was asking me, Pete, when are you going to retire? And I said one thing: never. I'm just getting started. And so when we retire, it's an opportunity to do something different, something that we've always wanted to do, something that will challenge us. Terry was faced with that, and he went through a phase in his life where he got derailed a couple times, but he kept going forward. He found hypnosis as a way to get him through the muck. As he did that, he decided, I'm going to give back. I'm going to give people that helped me through it, and I want to give back and make an impact on that mindset, because we all get stuck. It's not staying, we don't want to stay there. We want to get forward. So Terry, thank you so much for being here. He's going to talk about mindset, meaning, and choice. Thank you, Terry.
Yeah, Pete is right. I went through that situation, went from the corporate world. I retired abruptly, made a mistake by not having a plan to retire to something. And I really went through a change in my life where I really wanted to try to figure out what did I want to be versus what I'd been expected to be once I got into the corporate meat grinder, basically. So yeah, hypnosis has helped me significantly. It helped me in my life. My wife will tell you that I'm a completely different person, a better person, I should say, than I was before. Much more at ease, much more relaxed, easy to get along with, don't get upset about things easily, that kind of thing. So I want to talk about that today. Where basically, I have a question for you. Have you ever noticed how two people can experience the exact same situation and walk away with completely different emotional experiences? One person may see opportunity. The other person sees risk. One person sees or receives feedback, and another sees it as criticism. With memories from the past, emotional trauma, authority figures, things like that, all creating situations in your mind where you form these thoughts about things where it may not necessarily be true. It is simply your perception. These repetitive thoughts create belief, and that belief fuels your identity. Before you actually understand the internal conversation that's going on in your mind, that's shaping that belief. You know, many thoughts become powerful, not because they are true, but because they are repeated. Repetition is really kind of the enemy of the thoughts, especially negative thoughts in your mind, because you build scenarios that may not be true. The interesting part is that these repeated thoughts rarely stay isolated as thoughts. And over time, they begin shaping stories that we carry about ourselves and the world around us. What story about yourself have you repeated so long that it now feels permanent? For example, I'm not good at math. I could never run a marathon. I could never be a business owner because no one in my family has ever been a business owner. Those are all things that we tell ourselves that aren't necessarily true, because with effort, you could accomplish any one of those things. We replay conversations in our mind. We rehearse worst case scenarios over and over again. We talk ourselves out of opportunities because we think, I could never accomplish that because that's not something I've ever done before. So, two people may experience criticism. One walks away with, I must improve. The other walks away thinking, I have failed. It's all about perception. Many people operate from long-held assumptions and have never asked themselves if they still fit. Do those assumptions really still fit me? Is that really who I am? Or am I just carrying this baggage along with me? It's encouraging that these stories don't have to remain permanent. You can change. And many of these stories have formed gradually over time. It raises an important question, is what becomes possible when we stop treating old thoughts and beliefs as permanent truth? When do we go in and review these things and think, that's really not me. That's where I was. I was believing these things, and it really wasn't me because I've been conditioned to believe those things. Understanding our thoughts creates options leading to choices. And once we embrace the premise of that change, once that's possible, it opens doors to how we explore or respond moving forward. Choice is recognizing that we have influence over the meaning and perspective we continue reinforcing. We question whether a thought is objectively true or if it's just familiar. We do these thoughts and these observations still deserve authority in our life. This doesn't mean that every circumstance becomes easy or every thought instantly disappears, but it does mean we have more influence over our internal direction than we have come to believe. Mindset is the ongoing relationship we have with our thoughts, perceptions, and choices. Meaningful change begins not by becoming someone new, but by becoming more aware of what has been shaping us all along and choosing to improve our quality of life. Martha Washington once said, so we're talking about 250 years ago or so, she said, I've learned from experience that the greater part of our happiness or misery depends upon our disposition and not upon our circumstances. So I have a business, a hypnosis business that I've opened. It's Essentia, Mindset Evolution. And what I do is I use meaningful conversations to understand what's happening in your life and the changes that you want to make. And then I use neuro-linguistic programming tools and techniques and hypnosis to help you go from where you currently are and where you want to be. I help you to make yourself the best version of yourself. Thank you.
Mindset. It's so critical that we have that mindset. We have between 12 and 60,000 thoughts that go through our head. And a lot of times we're replaying the past. We can't change the past. We can only influence the future. And when you have somebody that leans into the future, it's an abundant future. It's a bright future. But our mindset has a lot to do with how we're going to be able to capture that. Terry, thank you so much for taking us through the importance of mindset. Each one of these speakers, there'll be links in the show notes where if you want to continue the journey, want to find out more, you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to lean into your journey, wherever it is and wherever you want to go. Our next speaker, I had a chance to meet her. I was at an international school, and you know when you walk in a room, you know that there's certain people that people gravitate to. Either they're funny or they're influential, or they're both. And Melissa is both. She spoke a couple years ago at our event here. It was a comedy night. We wanted to get people laughing, and she was a major part of that. She brought half the people that came that night. We thought our headline comic would bring more, but his mom did come, so that was good. But Melissa is a special kind of person. She's leaning in to how important it is to have that vision, to have that purpose, and she does it with a sense of humor, which is always beautiful to see. Melissa, thank you so much for being here. The three invisible forces that create our reality. Awesome. Good.
Good. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. How are you? Doing well? That's good. Thank you so much for having me. I really should not have been as surprised as I was that Pete would have put together a group of such dynamic speakers. You guys have all done such an incredible job, and I'm more nervous because of that. So thank you. Today, I would like to ask you, have you ever looked at your life, been at a point where you said, who am I and what am I doing here? That was me about a year ago. I've had many different avenues and interests and potentials that I've followed, and I've really enjoyed it, and I've gotten a lot of satisfaction and meaningful experiences. But a year ago, I said, I'm not a marketer. I'm not a comedian. I mean, I am, but that's not who I am. Who am I, and how can I help other people to remember who they are too? So earlier today, Deborah talked about the importance of a GPS system and knowing where you want to go and how are you going to get there. Xana told us about our superpowers, and I love the idea, where is she? I love the idea of a dream bucket. I think it's so important to just not forget, what do we feel called to do? Dave said, eventually we're going to outgrow our space. Where are we going? Where are we going when we are no longer feeling like we fit inside this box, even if it's a box that we created for ourselves? And then Pete told us about taking a mental shower. And so today I want to kind of put all of that together to talk to you guys about the importance of creating a vision and knowing where you're going and having a daily reminder of how you're going to get there. So one of the ways that I've done that in my life is for about 20 years is I've created vision boards. Now, I don't know, can you guys raise your hand and tell me if you ever created a vision board or been in a vision board workshop? Great. Can you also keep your hands up if you've seen some of the things that you've put on that vision board actually manifest in your life? Yes. So one of the ways that that works is that it's not just woo-woo, right? It's not just like cutting out pictures in a magazine and going, I would like a red Corvette, or I would like this. And fine if you do, because like we live in a world where there are material things and material things bring us joy. But one of the thing that it brings us is joy, right? We're looking for the way that we want to feel. Right? And so whenever we take a vision and we put it out in the forefront and we have it and we're looking at it, we're activating a system in our brain that's called the reticular activating system. And what that does, if you've ever, I'm trying to think, my son, he's going to turn 16. He wants a Dodge Charger. Okay. a Dodge Charger. I don't know if you guys think 16-year-olds and Dodge Chargers go together, but now we see them everywhere. There's my car, Mom. There's my car. Not in December. That is not your car. But that's what you do. You call the attention forward and you start to see the things that you've put into your vision. So, and the way that happens is you're just like making a lighthouse and going, I would really like this. I brought my vision board. And another thing that the vision board does is it helps you just remember who you are and what are the things that make you you and how do you want to go forward. So I facilitate vision board workshops. That's what I'm doing now. And the reason that I thought workshops are so important is that not only does it give us a space to create the vision board, but it gives us that opportunity and that permission to actually put it out there, take it from being a thought or an idea. I think we've heard that. Everything's a thought before it's a thing. And then we start speaking it. And at these vision board workshops, they are so incredibly beautiful because I sit there while everyone else is creating, helping if they need it, but they don't really. We just need time and space. And I hear all the positivity just flowing through the room. They're talking about hope. They're talking about things that are beautiful, things that light them up. And it just is a place to just speak over your life the direction where you feel like it's called to take. Yeah, I have 30 seconds left. Look at me. I didn't even think I was going to fill all the time. Okay, but we're going to finish it. Sorry. So the other important thing is that our mindset is so important. I know Terry was talking about it. And if we are holding on to a thought that is not serving us, right? We can create a vision that's negative and then you start seeing a lot of bad things happening in your life. And it's not because you're a victim, it's just what you're focusing on. And so if you can rewire your brain by the thoughts that you choose to have, and if you can have a mental image to remind you about where you want to go, then you are back in the power. I don't know. That wasn't what I was going to say. Okay. Well, I'm almost done. A vision is important because it helps you for who you want to become, how you want to feel, and for the life you want to create. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It reminds me there is a verse in the Bible, a man without a vision perishes. So I think there's a lot of truth to what Melissa was sharing with us. And I think when we look at our life, it is important to have an idea and to visually put it out there because we do seeing is believing. So putting that in place is a wonderful thing to have that vision board. I know when I talked to Melissa, it kind of rekindled mine. I've had vision boards, but it was kind of like, I've got to get back to be more intentional about updating my vision board. So thank you, Melissa. Thank you so much for sharing. Our next speaker is a gentleman I met a few years ago, and he's written one more book than I have. He's written 4. So he's inspired me to keep writing books. But this person is that typical person that comes to retirement and says, what's the next chapter going to look like? Somebody invited him to a Rotary meeting. He didn't have time when he was building his career to set aside that time to be there and serve. Well, not only did he jump in, he started serving another purpose in his life, more impact than he probably signed up for. He's in a leadership position with our Rotary. He runs a consulting business. He's written 4 books. He's traveling to Topay next month. So he is all over the place. So nobody can accuse him of playing too much golf because a lot of my friends are retired and playing golf and they're getting bored. And I think you got to find your journey, find your next journey. And he's found it serving in our local Rotary and around the country and around the world. So Buck, thank you so much for being here. And we appreciate you sharing with us some words on more than a mindset, a lifetime of impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Well, I got to make sure I get the timer down right here. So here's the deal. When you become involved in Rotary, you got to have a cause and you got to have a saying that you go through. So my saying is in my Rotary journey is everybody's got a story to tell. And this goes back to when I was at my 40th high school reunion. We're all standing around and we're talking about all the great stuff we did when we were in high school. And somebody said, oh, somebody should write a book. So I threw my hand up and I said, well, I'll write that book. Now, I'm the most least likely person to ever write a book. I barely got through English classes, but nonetheless, I said, that's a great idea. Well, there was a lot of alcohol involved in that, but nonetheless, I went home and forgot about it. 2 years later, I'm giving a presentation in Las Vegas to a bunch of sales guys. I'm talking to them about sales and sales management. And I got through, I sat down. This lady comes up and sits down next to me and she says, you can make a living doing that. I said, what are you talking about? Oh, you can talk. You got the eye contact. You got the sense of humor, but you got to write a book. I said, what do I need to write a book for? Well, you write a book, you have credibility. So I've written 5 books, Pete. By the way, you're one behind. Because I believe everybody's got a story to tell. And everybody's got a story to tell. And that's one of the reasons I started writing books, because I wanted to tell the story about high school football. I want to tell the story about sales and sales management. And I've told other stories since then, because everybody's got a story to tell. And you need to tell those stories so they keep going forward. They're not forgotten. So when I got ready to retire from corporate America, I traveled all over the world. I worked for construction companies. We made construction products. And one of the products we made, I was transferred to California to run a division out there. And we were the largest producer of stucco in California. You've been to California, you know that's a lot of stucco, right? So I'm retired. My kids take me out to dinner. My middle son, who's kind of a wisecracker, he says, well, what's a washed up stucco salesman going to do for the rest of his life? So about 3 months later, I was playing golf. I'm riding around with a guy and he says, you ever thought about being in Rotary? I said, well, not really. I know what Rotary is a little bit, but tell me more. So he went and told me more and he invited me to a meeting. I went to the meeting and I said, you know, I kind of like this. It's different people here. I'm hearing some stuff I've never heard before. I'm making connections and they're doing stuff in the community. So I went back the next week and then I decided, well, maybe I'll go visit a few other of these Rotary clubs. So in about 4 weeks, I decided to join Rotary. So I got involved with Rotary, and you're involved in the community. They do community service projects. You meet people. Well, about a year later, I got a call from the president. He says, we'd like you to be the president. I said, wait a minute, you got the wrong call. Number one, I just joined the club. Number two, I'm too old. Oh, no, you're not too old. Well, anyway, I joined Rotary. I have continued that journey. I have the opportunity of meeting people all over the world. And so what does Rotary do for you? It's a place where you can make an impact. You can make an impact in your community. You can make an impact in the world. And I'll give you a good example. The North Cobb Club, which Pete's a part of and several of you out here are part of, 15 years ago, you had a concept. And that concept was, we're going to have a barbecue. We're going to cook some barbecue out here, and we're going to have a couple people come out, and we'll raise a little money because we'll sell plates of this stuff, and it'll be okay. 16 years later, there's 10,000 people going to that event called Smoke on the Lake that's held up here in Ackworth. They are a part of that community because not only is Rotary doing it, the community of Ackworth's doing it. The people are coming. They're not just Rotarians. And what are they doing? They're raising money. And what are they doing with that money? They're taking that money and they're plowing it back in the community for places, people that need help. That's what they're doing. They've made an impact. They've created something they're part of. They're part of that community. And guess what else? They've created long-lasting friendships, just like I have. I've got many friends right here in this room that I would never know if I hadn't been involved in Rotary. And as Pete said, I am getting the opportunity to go to Taiwan in 2 weeks, and I'll meet with 40,000 other Rotarians there. So I will make new friendships. It's a place to get involved, to make an impact, and create everlasting friendships. I've enjoyed being here. Thanks for having me, Pete. And this is a great event, and thanks for being here.
Dang, he inspired me. I better get writing because I thought I was only 1 behind him. Now I'm 2 behind him. So thank you, Buck. It is so important. I have two like happy places that I like to go besides hanging out with my family. It's here on Sunday at my local church, and it's Thursday with my local Rotarians. Both are absolutely wonderul communities.
You forgot Bonham's Bakery.
Yes, yes. There's one of my friends from Bonham's. We go there on a regular basis. It's the best French bakery in Kennesaw. So that is so important, to give back, to make an impact. It doesn't matter where you are in your journey. There's times when that can make so much sense. And a lot of times when we're really busy, we can't fit it in. But when we do, we're wondering, why did it take me so long? So Buck, thanks so much for the impact you're making in the leadership role that you have, and the ability to tell more people. I went to Richmond recently, and I went to 2 Rotaries. One was kind of a flashback to Rotary 25 years ago, and one was a more up-to-date Rotary. 2 different places, but both people making an impact. Find your place in it wherever you live, and you'll be surprised how much being involved in the community and giving back to in the community can fill your heart and develop some incredible friendships. So thanks, Buck. Okay, our next speaker, again, I told you I stalk LinkedIn all the time. I spend 5 minutes on there, and I look for interesting people that I think would be great guests for my podcast. I gave up social media after my stroke. I gave up TV. I gave up sugar. I gave up everything. I thought alcohol. I gave it all up because I wanted to repair my brain. But I do spend a few minutes on social media, because just a few minutes, because I believe today, I don't know, I think it was, I'm trying to think, maybe it was Terry or Rebecca, it was Melissa, talked about creating. We are born to create, but today, the average American is watching 4 hours of TV and scrolling 2.5 hours of TikTok videos. That's consuming media. You're consuming other people's lives. What we want you to do is create your life. And you have to be intentional about creating. And Shakira, when I had her on my podcast, I got a chance to learn her story, her journey. Here's a person that took her story, flipped it around, and made her life of giving back, of making an impact, helping others get through situations in your life. You can go through life and you can be bitter or you can be better. She chose to be better. And Shakira, the journey of becoming you. Would you please join us on the stage and share with us your valuable message that we have today? Appreciate you. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. Time flies. I don't even know what day it is sometimes. Well, thank you, Pete. And so like Pete said, my name is Shakira Ford. I am a licensed clinical therapist and the founder of Georgia Sky Counseling. And a little bit about me is I'm just a girl from Harlem. And I lost my mother before the age of 13 and became a ward of the state. And because of that, that drove my purpose in life. And just like my personal self, my business has also evolved. So where it started off as primarily psychotherapy private practice, it's now a organizational leadership development firm. Because over the course of my career and my personal life, I realized that the journey towards purpose stems directly from pain, and sometimes early pain. And that pain in the beginning creates direction, right? Whether subconsciously or unconsciously. It becomes the thing that drives you. But at some point, it can also become tension and friction. And that's why conscious leadership is really important to me. Because if you choose to take on a role that leads people and impacts people, self-awareness is important. Knowing your drives, your limitations, and of course, your purpose. A good question that Melissa brought up, to ask yourself throughout that process is, who am I? And I know I've asked myself that over and over again. I know many of you have asked that, and I hope you continue to do so. Not because one day we'll finally settle on an answer, right? Because we're ever changing, but because the role of self-evolution simply asks us to continue to ask it. Because the exploration of that question alone leads to curiosity, it leads to insight, it leads to opportunity, like today. In my own process of asking that question, I realized that my life is changing in really foundational ways. I started to experience things like depression, unfulfillment, dissatisfaction, lack of motivation, all while living the life I worked so hard to create, right? It kind of didn't make sense. How could I be so unfulfilled or unsatisfied when I got all the things I worked for? Those were the first signs and symptoms that my identity was shifting, that my old identity was cracking. And instead of that being my breakdown, it became my breakthrough. So how do you move through it? We only have a short amount of time today, so I wanted to leave you with a few concrete things that you could use to start to shift if you feel like your old identity is starting to crack. The first thing you can do is write a one-page leadership autobiography. Psychologist Dan McAdams' research on narrative identity shows that when you write a story of how you became who you are, we create active meaning making in our brain. And that restructures how we see our patterns. So it's not journaling, right? But it's a structured one-pager asking yourself this: what experiences have shaped how you lead? And what did you decide about yourself because of it? That single question starts to surface beliefs driving your behaviors. The second thing is one of my favorite things that I do actually regularly, and that's to do an audit against your actual calendar. So you can take out your calendar, whether it's a physical calendar or a digital calendar. And I want you to remember that one driver of identity friction in high achievers, which all of us seem to be today, is the gap between our stated values and how we actually spend our time. So pull out your calendar and ask yourself, over the past 2 weeks, how you spent your time, does that match who you say you are, or does it not? And where it doesn't, that's your data. That's where evolution is asking you to do something different. The last thing you can do is name your pattern out loud to someone you trust. Neuroscientist Stephen Porges' Pagovalgal research shows that naming a pattern in the presence of someone you feel safe in a relationship with is one of the most effective ways to start shifting it. So think about whatever pattern you experience when you feel unsafe as a leader. I know for me, sometimes it could be avoidance, people pleasing, or my favorite, overworking, right? Oh, I didn't do too much today, so I'll do 30 things tomorrow. Naming this out loud to someone you trust, to hold without judgment, can start to loosen that grip. I believe self-discovery is parallel to exploring the meaning of life itself. So my only encouragement today is to stay curious. Thank you.
So powerful. I heard somebody say, besides Shakira, about stay curious. And I thought about 4 years ago when I embarked on starting a podcast is I never realized how that muscle develops, that's curiosity muscle. I think it has a lot to do with when you approach life with curiosity and you ask good questions, the answers can be pretty impactful. So thank you so much for sharing with us. It's so important to be curious, to lean into your self-discovery, and to be the person. And even with people who hear the word purpose a lot, keep leaning into your purpose. It changes from year to year, and you never know that second term, that purpose can change. So thank you so much. I see one of our speakers is not here, so we're going to go up the calendar to our next speaker. I had a chance to, as I'm looking on LinkedIn, I'm looking for people, his profile did stand out quite a bit. And when I had the pleasure and the opportunity to have him on my podcast, I've had him on twice, and I got a chance to know him even better the second time. He spent a career in Lowe's, and when you go from corporate to entrepreneurial, it's a different mindset. It's a completely different mindset. I know we were talking the other day, Christine was talking, and we were talking about that transition, because in corporate, you get a paycheck, whether you create any value that week or not. If you're not creating value in your business, the market doesn't pay you. But I looked on his profile, and he started a roofing company. And in that roofing journey, he had 230 five-star reviews. Now, roofing, if you all are familiar with that industry, it does attract some of our not so good characters. So it's hard when you're putting yourself out there, the perception you have to break through. You have to over-deliver. You have to always be focused on the customer, because those reviews tell you a lot about your reputation online. I was enjoyed having him on my podcast. He's a person that's making an impact out there, and he's out there delivering value for his team and his business. So Brad, thank you so much for being here, coming all the way down from Alpharetta, Georgia. We love it. So Brad, thank you so much for being here. And Brad's going to talk about just that mindset of leadership in the service industry and how it is important to lead by example. Thanks, Brad.
Good morning. So the next thing that I'm about to say, let it sink in. So architecture or planning without effort is just theory. And then effort without architecture or planning, well, that's just chaos. And I think to be successful in business, you have to be able to do both. You have to be able to have architecture and then effort. So the fact of the matter is most companies, they operate by the seat of their pants at first, especially small businesses, right? I think we can all relate to that at some point. And they hit a ceiling, or what we call a founder bottleneck, because their effort gets stifled because they don't have systems, they don't have processes. And so my notes are telling me to build credibility. So my name is Brad Strawbridge, and I'm the founder and CEO of Capital City Roofing. We're one of the fastest growing roofing organizations in the Southeast. I'm also co-founder and CEO of a technology company called BuilderLink, where we have built the infrastructure and the systems and processes for contractors. And I am really excited to talk to you about some actionable things that you can take away from here and implement in your business. This is universal to business. It's not just for roofing companies. And so in the next 5 minutes, I'm gonna give you 5 systems that you can actually work on. And you know, we talked about it, I mentioned it just a moment ago about the founder bottleneck. And what happens is, if you're the only person doing any meaningful work or making any meaningful decisions, that's where you're at, right? And so think about these things. Think about these things that I'm about to say, and then be honest with yourself and see if it applies to you. So are you the one that approves everything? Does your team wait for instructions, or do they intuitively know how to handle situations? Are they empowered to handle situations? Information, where is the information? Is it live in your head? Is that the only place the information is? Is it written down? Do you have it systemized? Do you have checklists? Do you have SOPs? Do you have handoff documents? And KPIs, do you have them? Do you have a scorecard? Do you know where you're going? Does your team know where you're going? Are they clear? Do you talk about them every week? Can an outsider come into your business and ask a random member of your team, hey, what are your important KPIs? What's your number? What's the number you're tied to? What's the number you're held accountable for? And client experience. How do they feel? Is it different every time? Or is it consistent? And then think about Friday. Do you get bombarded with things that were occurring on Monday, but you don't know about it because you don't know about it, and your team might be afraid to tell you. So the five things we're going to talk about, they're so simple. And when I say them out loud, they sound too simple, but they're not. They're simple in theory, but they're very, very difficult in practice. And I'm going to talk about AI as well. So I'm a big advocate of AI. I think that using it responsibly is very, very crucial. So the first is lead intake. It's really important that you're able to respond to a lead in under 1 minute. Sales follow-up, conversion by stage, not just close rate. You have to track each bucket. Handoffs and SOPs. One source of truth, checklist, no exceptions. Customer communications. Communicate often, frequently, and before they communicate you. And then scorecard. Develop KPIs, solve issues, don't blame, and track the process. Now AI. So I'm going to talk about it practically. The first thing is keep humans in the loop. Don't let AI run amok, right? Have an intermediary. Use AI for speed and visibility. Never let AI replace judgment, and start with one workflow, master that workflow, and then move on. And I've got 10 seconds. So here is your 30-day plan. So this is what you'll do. Systems create consistency. Leadership creates accountability. AI supports both. It doesn't replace either. So scale with structure, not heroics. Week 1, name your 2 weakest bottlenecks. Week 2, fix just one handoff, just one. Week 3, install one KPI, just one. Week 4, pilot one AI workflow. Master that workflow and then create it all again. So my name is Brad Strawbridge. Thanks for letting me speak. If you want to learn more about what I'm up to, you can at bradstrawbridge.com, capitalcityroofing.net, or builderlink.com. Thank you so much.
So wise. It's very after I listened to Brad, it's understandable how he's leading a company in such a short period of time to be the best. I know Builders Link, I think, is being introduced next week, if I'm not. So check them out, because technology really slows us down in business. If we're not embracing it and we're not putting the necessary steps, it can slow us down, and our competitors are going to lean into it. So if we don't recognize that AI is a tool, I like to say, my partner has an AI agency. I say HI trumps AI all the time. You got to have the human in there, and he's so true. Keep the human in the loop. Keep the human in the loop. So check out his information. You go on there and search Capital City Roofing. You'll see 230 5-star reviews in an industry that if you have a couple 5-star reviews, you're doing good. And he has 230. So thanks, Brad. We appreciate you being here. So our next speaker is a young lady that I met online or through LinkedIn, and I've been able to have several podcasts with her. And when we look at our brain, when we look at what's going on up here, I wish I would have met her about 10 years ago, before my stroke. I was addicted to drugs, and it was legal, but I was addicted. I didn't have the best habits to help this. Now I meditate, I eat properly, I exercise, I take care of this. I've been a part of her first Wednesday guided medication, and it really helps when you learn how to take care of this valuable asset, the brain. We can't see it, but it's there. And Christine came all the way. She moved from Montana too. So we love our ladies from Montana. That is so good. So Christine, please share with us. Christine's going to talk about invest in your mind and transform your life. And anybody can bring water up too. I forgot to tell you that. Thanks, Christine.
Tends to be a little dry. Thank you so much, Pete. You have an uncanny way of bringing great minds together. Just take a deep breath. Imagine this. It's Tuesday morning and you're getting ready for work. You got a big day ahead of you and you head out to the kitchen. You're on a mission. You get there and you stop and you look around. What the heck am I doing here? You've retraced your steps. You look at your phone, maybe your computer. I've even opened the refrigerator looking for answers. Maybe it comes back to you, maybe it doesn't. But quietly, somewhere in the back of your mind, you think to yourself, is this okay? But you're busy, you gotta go. So you shrug it off, head out on your day, and say you'll get back to that thought later. Has this happened to anyone? Am I alone? Happened this morning, I know. So this being common, yes, but this is not normal aging. But it is a brain that's functioning well, and that's a big distinction because it's signaling to you that something needs to change or it wants you to do something different. Those signals can be so important. It could be what you ate, it could be how you slept, it could be how you handle stress, but it also could be your blood pressure or your blood sugar. All these live here. The brain and the body are so connected. Your metabolic health, your metabolism, your cardiac and your gut health, they all work in synergy to take care of your brain. Your brain is your greatest asset. It is the CEO of your life. I heard somebody else say that. And it is the hardware of your soul. If you give it what it needs to take care of you, everything in life gets better. It has a trickle-down effect in every area. Your energy, your mood, your thoughts, your habits, and living your life to the fullest. That all starts at the top. Think about when you're firing on all cylinders. You walk into a room and you own it. You meet people, you remember their names. You handle stress without freaking out. You follow through on things you need to do without writing them down 5 times. That's a brain that's functioning well. That's the best version of yourself. And most of us don't even acknowledge when that's happening until something forces us to think differently. And then sometimes we're playing a little catch up, as Pete can tell you from experience. Hopefully it's just minor, but it does happen. So I've been a nurse for over 30 years, primarily in hospice, dementia, and rehab. I watched many brilliant minds fade piece by piece. It never got any easier, and it was always heartbreaking. I know what happens when you care for your brain and your body and when you don't. And that's why I turned my fear of aging into my mission, which is to help people get ahead of the curve 20 or 30 years before the symptoms even start. That's what science tells us. Alzheimer's is now a disease of midlife. Excuse me. That's big news, right? So 20 to 30 years ahead of time, the habits that you have today are going to affect your future. It also says that up to 50% of cognitive decline can be prevented by our lifestyle choices when you are structured, consistent, and guided by a professional. Those are big numbers, 50%, and that also takes into effect if you have genetic risk or family history. You can still choose lifestyle and have that 50% reduction in cognitive decline. That's a pretty big number. It gives me hope, but it also gives us all power. That's why I do the work that I do today as a holistic brain health coach. And here's what I want to tell you. You can fall in love with caring for your brain, and it doesn't have to be restrictive, white knuckle, based in fear and no fun. It's about the relationship that you have with yourself. How do you think about food? How do you move your body? How do you handle stress and sleep? How do you protect your mind when the noise of the world is constantly pulling at your attention. Those are not sacrifices. Those are investments. Just like your 401k, when you give your mind what it needs, everything gets better. Aging, it's not luck. It's not just genetics. It's intention. It's about thinking every day about the choices that you're making. And it's a simple question. Is this helping my brain or is this harming my brain? It doesn't have to be running a marathon, a diet of deprivation. Somebody else also mentioned small little habits done consistently really do move the needle. When you shift your perspective to somebody who cares about and prioritizes your brain health, that is where the magic happens. When you partner with somebody who understands the science, who's spent decades in healthcare seeing what works and what doesn't, and a coach to get you there, that's your sweet spot. So if you are tired of wondering and waiting and guessing about your future, I would love to talk to you. I'm Christine. My business is The Wellness Navigator. Thank you. Sorry, Pete. I forgot to look at the time.
Appreciate that. Christine, thank you so much for making us aware that this up here can work for us. I'll ask people from time to time, like, how long do you want to live? And a common answer I hear is, long as I have my brain. And I think we don't want to lose that valuable part of us because we've seen how things like dementia and Alzheimer's affect people that are close to us. So there are things that can help us in our journey. If you would have told me I meditate 5 years ago before my stroke, I would have told you, oh, you're crazy. I do it every day and I do it a couple times during the day. If you would have told me I journal, I would have told you you're crazy and I didn't do it, but I do it now. So finding those habits that serve your brain can go a long way. I heard a gentleman this Thursday said, I want to live to be 100 because very few people die after 100. So if you have your brain, you probably ought to set your sights up to living as long as you possibly can and making the biggest impact you can in this world. Our next speaker, I didn't stalk him on LinkedIn, but I did stalk him on Sunday morning. I would always try to corner him and get him to commit. And I'd always ask him, and he'd say, yeah, soon. And finally, I succeeded. And his wife, Leah, and himself opened up a practice not too long ago in Woodstock. And when I had him on my podcast, he said a lot of really insightful things that I've had some good therapists and I've had some not so good therapists. And it's kind of like I've had some bad meals at restaurants and I've had some good meals. I don't stop eating out because I had a bad meal. And so the relationship you have with a therapist that can help you get through the muck. Again, we get 12 to 60,000 thoughts that go through our head. Sometimes we get stuck and we need help getting through the muck. And Jonathan, I've heard him speak. I've had conversations with him. He's a person that I would trust when I'm stuck. And he's going to talk about avoiding burnout. We want to be aware of how we're living our life and some simple things we can do to lead a more abundant, bright life. So thanks, Jonathan. Would you please share the podium up here? All righty. Thank you, brother.
Thanks for your consistent investment in me, Pete, and pushing me to continue to come on the podcast. It was a great experience, and I'm glad to be here with you guys today. little bit busy the past couple of years. I've had two kids over the past 4 years, and we started a business, which was our third kid. So it's been a lovely journey. And so this topic was more honestly for me than it was hopefully for you guys, but I'm hopeful that you guys get something from this. And that is really, how do you continue to go? We've had a lot of really great speakers today talk about mindset, talk about finding yourself, Shakira, and knowing who you are, figuring out where you're going, what's your destination. And all of that is so important. And I don't know if you planned this or not, but I'm glad to kind of be maybe coming in the end and summarizing a little bit. What do we do when we're on the journey, when we've known who we are? How do we keep going? Because we may start off really strong. Someone talked about that earlier, starting off, I think it was with the desktop, and like starting really, really strong. But how do we keep going? How do we not burn out? How do we persist? And so my name's Jonathan. I'm a licensed counselor here in Georgia. I'm a counseling supervisor. And like Pete was saying, my wife and I just opened up a private practice in Woodstock called Logos Counseling Initiative, where we do a lot of meaning making. We try to figure out who we are and what our purpose here in life is. And in that pursuit of purpose, how do we continue to pursue that and not burn out? And I have 3 really simple things. And I think Brad talked about, hey, these might be simple concepts. I'm someone who says this in the counseling room often. Just because they're simple doesn't mean that they're easy. And we may know them up here, but living them out in practice are hard. And the first step in helping to avoid burnout is knowing what's important to you. And I don't mean like, hey, what kind of activities do you like to do? Are you a Braves fan or are you not? The former is the right answer. But, in what kind of interests you enjoy. Those things are important, no doubt. But knowing what are your values, what's important to your value set. Who am I, my morals, my moral compass, and making sure I know what's important to me. And we spend so much time, and I'm so grateful Shakira talked about the calendar audit. We spend so much time throughout our weeks and our days spending time on things that are not important to us. I go to do a task in my garage, and I go out there and I'm gonna help build my daughter's swing set. And I notice, oh wait, no, this thing needs to get organized first. And I start getting distracted with something else rather than what was really important to me on the journey that I started out. And so we get distracted, we do things and we spend time on things that are not valuable or purposeful for us. And in pursuit of that, spending time on things that are not important to you begin to drain you because the purpose and the meaning that you have is not getting lived out. Which really leads into the second point, and that's once you know where your values are and what's important to you, you have to protect them. And Rebecca talked about boundaries earlier, and boundaries are the way in which we protect the things that are important to us. Boundaries are really formulated from what we value. I say this to a lot of my clients, that which you ascribe your time to shows what's truly important to you. I may say something is important to me, but if I'm not protecting it and spending time towards it, what am I communicating? And when we think about boundaries, that's a big buzzword in our culture today. It's really like a definitive, it's a line of markation. It's defined space. It's protecting that space. Our fence at your house is a boundary for your property. And without that, things can come onto your property, things can leave your property, people can be very quick to cause harm, or things get lost along the way if we don't mark it and protect it. Which really then leads to the last point I have for us today, and that is you have to know your value set, you have to protect those values, and if self-care is not a value, it needs to be. We talked about just caring for our brain and our mind, but self-care, and I'd just like to challenge a little bit in you guys today to consider self-care differently. Self-care is not just, I'm gonna go get a massage, I brushed my teeth, I took a shower today, I put deodorant on. Those are parts of self-care, but that is caring for one part of myself, which is the physical part. We have other complex parts that makes us a human, such as our psychological care. our emotional care, our professional care. How am I caring for myself professionally? Being here and listening to this is investing in yourself professionally. Personal self-care. What am I doing in my personal free time and caring for myself that way? And so what my definition for self-care is, and I would just like to impart it on you as I come to a close, is it's the fuel for life. It's how we continue to get through this journey. And so if you're feeling spent, if you're feeling stretched and not cared for, that over time will deplete you. And as much as I want my truck to go when the gas tank is empty, it's not going to go. You have to make sure to be pouring back into yourself. And so if that's where you're at, we at our practice, we have a few clinicians that are love to journey in that with people and would hope to continue that journey with you guys today. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jonathan. Ooh, he's a little taller than I am. No, thank you so much for being here. I want to close with two things. First, thank our friends here at Grace Church for allowing us to be here. David Black is the campus pastor. We're here on Sunday morning at 10:30, and I won't be remiss to say that behind the scenes, there's always an individual who makes things happen, who just is seamless in delivering, in this case, technology. Kevin Bora, we want to thank you for being in the control center and making sure that everything runs smoothly. I promised him 3 live events. I won't do anything out of the ordinary, like invite somebody from around the country that we had to stream it in. So I said, I'll wait till the end of the year to do that. But Kevin is on the spot figuring things out. So if you need people to help you, he helps me in my home. He helps me with my business. He's my go-to person to really make sure that I'm not getting stuck in the technology. So the last thing, two things. I have two special people in the audience. We can't flash it to the audience, but I go on Wednesday to a special place, PT Solutions. I've been to 6 of them in my 4-year journey. So either I have a problem or something's up. But I found home when my friend Terry Eckhart said, man, Pete, he kept telling me, you got to go see Kara. You got to go see Kara. You got to go see Kara. And Terry's daughter is a marketing person for PT Solution. I thought it was biased. I said, oh yeah, Terry, you're just trying to help your daughter out. But until I couldn't get any results after 6 months, I called a friend, and that friend said, get back into therapy. And when I did get back and I got on Kara's calendar, I realized that I needed that. I needed that intensity. I needed that person to push and get me better than I was. And Faith is with her. I work with Faith on Wednesday too. So together, they're better. They're a wonderful organization. So thank you for everything you do in the therapy arena to help us get back some of the things we might have lost. My last talk is just to kind of plant a seed. I do the 4 human drivers. I like to speak to groups and associations because if we know these 4, which are meaningful purpose, and we all have to have purpose in our life, relationships and connections, which the quality of our life comes with the relationships we have, and personal growth. When you have those 3, you have something called aliveness. And in community, we're better. Whether it's Rotary, whether it's your church community, whatever it is, do it together. Together, we're better. The solo journey is not a good one. I tried it for a few times during my journey, and it wasn't a good result. So together, you're better. And thank you so much for being here, for taking the time. These are not paid speakers. I didn't sign. Oh, hold on. I have a person I totally missed. Is in the room. I wanted to bring him up. So George Nagoda is a special he's the hero we talked about. I was in a kind of a difficult situation late at night. It was 20 degrees. Things weren't working out with the person I hired to do a job. And I called George late at night and I said, George, I'm in trouble. I need your help. And he came through. He didn't wear a cape, but I swear he had an S on his chest because he flew in, took care of the issue. Now it rained like crazy this week. Not a drip of rain comes in the door. He's a guy that believes in community, believes in relationships, and gets results. And he's somebody that's making an impact at Water Medics in the community. George, thank you so much for being here. Sorry, bro.
That's all right. Morning, George with Water Medics. We started our business 16 years ago, helping people with mold, water entry, asbestos. This morning, I was preparing to come here, and I got a panicking plumber on the phone. He said, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm getting ready to go see Pete. I have a presentation ready." And he goes, "I need you over here right now." I'm like, "Well, that's my job, man." Pete, I had to go help him. I had to do it. We have a commercial building. A lady had water entering several places. She had roofing patched multiple times, and whoever she's been hiring to help her has not been doing a good service for her. They're taking her money, but she keeps having issues. Her tenants are not paying her, so I had to quickly grab my professionals around, go inspect this lady's property, and try to help her. And that's part of what we started as a business community, finding people who need our service, need our help, putting together a team of people who are service-oriented, God-oriented. That, you know, sometimes you have to drop what you're doing to help those in need. I've been building relationships around Atlanta for 15 years, 16 years. And golly, it's like a big family, Pete. You know, you have a lot of people who know they can call me, even if it's something I don't specialize in. We have a group of people here. That's why we build these communities around us, so we can help the community, keep everyone together. And results-wise, you know, I have, it's great listening to everyone speak. I have a young man that's been working with me. He said, "You know, why? You know, I'm so young. Why do I have to do this? Get up, go to work." He would come in late, miss work a lot. And the older guys are like, "You know, hey, you know, let's just get somebody else to help him." I said, "No, you know what? Part of our business model is helping people, teaching, and and grooming people." And so, you know, over the last 5 years now, he's the first one to call, first one to go to work, first one to help people. He's, you know, taking it really serious. But that's part of our business model in this community is, you know, teaching the community, educating, getting the right team, and putting it together. So thanks, Pete. I appreciate you.
Yes, George gets results. And when his team was doing the project over at my house, I would ask him, "Hey, how do you like working for George?" And you know, when people are glowing and enjoy working with somebody, they communicate in a way that's authentic, and you know they have such respect and enjoy working. So when you're building a team, you want people on your team that you have that respect for. He does it because he respects others. He gets results. He's out there building community. And thank you so much, George, for being here. And yes, when your phone rings and people are in need, you do it. I mean, we adjusted slightly, and it doesn't matter, but thank you for taking care of those. I wouldn't be remiss if I didn't do a little bit of plug for our community referral magazine. What we try to do with our podcast is we put groups together, communities together. We put it in where when you go to an event, a presentation to see your ideal client, you're bringing a team. When you can bring your team of referral partners, you're stronger as a team. So think about it. If that's something and you're out there and you want to investigate, we do global demand audits. which allows people a chance to see what's possible if they increase their demand and intentionally bring their referral partners together. Again, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate each one of you, the speakers that came here today to share their expertise, their impact, their knowledge with y'all. And I appreciate you being here to help our community grow. And if you want to serve in the community and Rotary, you want to know more about Rotary, we'll have a link in the show notes that you can, if you're not in this town and you want to find one in your local area, we can possibly help you. So thanks so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Oh, one more thing. I want to thank my friend Audley Knight. He's a Rotarian and he's an AV expert. And I just got some meta glasses, didn't know how to use them. And he said, I'll come and help you. That's the heart of people in Rotary. They'll come support you and help you when you don't know what the heck you're doing. So thanks, Audley. Appreciate you being here and doing the work. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and one of you.